Welcome back to the IBSP. Here's your host, Boxing News.
The real David Benavidez. And look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And David Benavidez has been hyped up as the Mexican monster. I mean, people are talking about David Benavidez being one of the best fighters in the world, a superstar and an actual monster. I mean, you've seen everybody from De La Hoya, Diego Pacheco, Demetrius Andre, Sean Porter, Paulie Malignaggi, and the list goes on and on and on, saying that David Benavidez is the best fighter at 168 pounds, number one over Canelo Alvarez. And these are all professionals in the sport of boxing saying David Benavidez is the number one guy at 68 over Canelo Alvarez. He's the best fighter at the weight over Canelo. Think about that. And this man has never unified at that weight, but they've built his hype up so much where people believe that this guy is truly a monster. And when he had his opportunity against Alexander Volstik to show that he's truly a monster, could have went up to 175 and took this man head off his shoulders. What did he do? He put on a good performance, but he laid a goose egg, because that performance is a performance of a good fighter. He put on a good fight, and he's a good fighter. He's just not a great fighter. He's not a monster. Monsters and great fighters destroy guys like Alexander Volstik. That's what they do. Archie Beterbiev, great fighter. Archie Beterbiev, a monster, took this man's head off his shoulder. Completely different fighter than David Benavidez. David Benavidez, he moves up in weight, and his power and pressure weren't the same as they were at 168 when you were fighting blown-up 160-pound fighters, when you were fighting Canelo Alvarez's leftovers. It's not the same thing. Now you're fighting somebody closer to your size, and you look completely pedestrian, average. And while it was a good performance, it was nothing to claim that you're a great fighter or that you're a monster. Monsters and great fighters destroy guys that are 37 years old, like Alexander Volstik. We got to keep that same energy. And not only that, when you look at a guy like David Benavidez, he's a good fighter, not a great one, but he does nothing elite. He doesn't have elite power. He doesn't have elite defense, and he doesn't have elite footwork. So at the end of the day, you're going to need one of those three things to beat a top fighter. Think about it like this. This is why he's not beating Canelo, he's not beating Beterbiev, and he's not beating Bivol. Because he's going to need elite power to beat those guys. He's going to need elite defense to beat those guys, or even elite footwork to beat those guys. He doesn't check off any boxes. Because believe it or not, Canelo Alvarez has elite power, has elite defense, has an elite chin. Archie Beterbiev has elite power, probably the deadliest power in the weight class. I mean, this guy is truly a monster. You see a guy like Dimitri Bivol has elite defense, has elite footwork, has elite IQ. All of these guys have elite attributes. David Benavidez has none. And that's why he can never be called a monster again. Never be called a great fighter again. Stop hyping up these guys and putting them in a position when they've never unified and never earned the status.